the geophysics and other data we have tells us that there is a discrete intrusive source for the CRD. Almost all CRD systems are closely tied with a magmatic body. In this case, it's come up in a pile of reactive rocks. And those fluids that came off the magma interact with the reactive rocks, in this case, limestones, and create sulfide replacement deposits.
All right, welcome back inside our proactive newsroom. And joining me now is Quinton Hennigh. He's a director with Condor Resources. And Quinton, it's good to see you again. How are you?
Thank you very much, Steve. Very good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks very much. And a great opportunity to get caught up on what's going on at a couple of the projects that I know you're deeply involved in. And one of them is Huinac Punta. And give me some thoughts on this one. This is an interesting one just because it really hasn't been explored at all.
It hasn't. It was picked up by Ever Marquez, who's the head of exploration for Condor Resources. Very good friend of mine for many years. He and I worked together at Newcrest and then at Newmont many decades ago. But Ever has an exceptional nose for picking up high quality projects. And in the case of Huinac Punta, he recognized great potential for a high grade CRD system, a carbonate replacement deposit type system. And it is in an area where there is some cultural sensitivity. So it's been advanced very slowly on the social license front. And we haven't made a lot of noise about the story until recently, because we did get that approval, that acceptance amongst the community, but also the approval to start drilling is imminent. So we are starting to tell the story. Huinac Punta is going to be a killer project for us.
Quinton, how did you come at the realization to drill where you're going to drill? Can you talk about some of the work that's been done there?
Yes, we've done quite a bit of work. Geologic mapping is essential. Ever does a great job. Geochemical sampling, no problem. We've got a lot of samples across the project, but he's also done a great job with the geophysics. Okay, and we see from the geophysics signatures that tell us we have really good CRD type targets on the property, and they are coincident with some of this high-grade mineralization we've seen. Silver in particular is extremely high grade at Huinac Punta. It's one of the highest grade targets I've seen in many, many years, probably one of the highest I've ever seen in my career.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about how you go about, are these drill holes going to be exploratory? Are you going to go deep with them? What sort of is the plan as you get set to sort of take a look at this for the first time?
Sure. Like the geophysics and other data we have tells us that there is a discrete intrusive source for the CRD. Almost all CRD systems are closely tied with a magmatic body. In this case, it's come up in a pile of reactive rocks. And those fluids that came off the magma interact with the reactive rocks, in this case, limestones, and create sulfide replacement deposits, hence the name CRDs, replacement deposits, that are very high grade in silver, zinc, and lead. And, some of the targets extend all the way up to surface. We will have targets that test relatively proximal surface areas, but we do know we can see where we suspect that intrusion is located. So we can actually refine our targeting tests a little bit deeper as well.
Yeah. Let's move on to Puka Mayo. You and I have talked about this project before, and I know it's an exciting one for the company, but for those who may not be familiar with it, can you sort of give me a little background on it?
Yes, look, Puka Mayo is actually more in the southern part of Peru. So I call it the lost sheep in a sense, because it is a high sulfidation system that's very much like some of the big high sulfidation systems you see further north in Peru. But it's in a location that's not, the typical area that one thinks about for these types of deposits. Nonetheless, we have an extensive area of very advanced argillic alteration. That means, in common lingo, it means a big deposit target, like a big target here that's probably associated with a porphyry. There's something big down there that's kicking off all this juice. And at surface, we see an extensive blanket of alteration that is just so big and compelling, given all the metal endowment we see from sampling and such, that there's likely a deposit associated with. So we're very optimistic we will tag that this season.
Yeah. And what work are you hoping to do there, Quinton?
Yeah, we drilled a few holes there last year. It was more on the western side of the deposit, or the western side of the alteration field. This year we're getting our permit for the more core area further to the east. And we're going to give that a really good shake. We're going to test not only the near surface high sulfidation mineralization that I've described, but also see if we can tag a porphyry at depth. So this new permit is really going to open up our ability to test the whole property properly.
Yeah. Between that project and the other one we talked about, it sounds like it's going to be not only a busy fall, but it seems like a pretty exciting one full of news.
It is. Condor's going, we're trying to get Condor back to a place where it could be one of the more exciting drill discovery stage companies in the junior space. And with Chris in place now, Chris Bunsick as CEO, I think we're really in a position where we can start to tackle these things more aggressively.
All right, we'll leave it there. Quinton, thank you so much. Great to see you again.
Good to see you.
All right, Quinton Hennigh, the director at Condor Resources.